Hey everyone, MS Element here. Super excited for our first video on the channel. I just want to say thank you so much to the DBS community. The feedback and the support has been beyond amazing. It's been a couple of weeks of planning and trying to get the channel up and running, but here it is. We have our first video ever, and to everyone that subscribe even without us having any videos up, I just want to say thank you so much, because that's the kind of motivation that content creators need, right? The support of the community and the feedback from the community means a lot. So without further ado, we're going to start right up with our first topic on this channel: deck building. So when we talk about deck building, a lot of things come to mind. Are we building this deck just because we like the leader? Are we just building the deck because we just want to have fun? Or are we building this deck because it's competitive? So in DBS, we have a couple of things that we can go base out of for building a deck. In the meta, or the history of DBS, we have always seen different archetypes around. We have seen hand control, we have seen board mid-range control, aggro. We have seen stall decks that want to get to turn 6, turn 5. We have seen a couple of ramp decks that just want to spam energy as much as possible and just hit you with big bombs. So when considering how to build a deck, we want to think about what do we want, what play style do we like and are more comfortable with. Here are some examples of fun competitive decks that could fill all those um, spectrums, right? We can play hand control, we can play aggro, we can play a lot of different variations of this leaders specifically. That's what I chose them for our first uh, example of leaders. Then we have what we call meta decks. These are top of the line, consistently win events every single time. And sometimes we shy away from building our own variants because it it's out there. The deck list is out there. But by experimenting, we become better players, right? We understand the concept of the deck. We can be a little bit more critical thinkers when it comes to deck building, which is extremely, extremely important. Okay, so we chose our leader. We know what we want to play. Now we have to understand our win condition, right? What is going to get us that win? Do we want to play aggressive, play a lot of board presence, and go hard on the first couple of turns? Do we want to control the tempo of the game? Or do we just want to mill our player out? There's a lot of win conditions out there. Some people play for big bosses. So understanding your win condition and what your leader does, it's one of the most crucial parts of deck building. Once we have an understanding of our win condition, then we can go back and look at our leader, right? There's two types of leaders. There's the leader that synergizes with the deck, and there are leaders that the deck synergizes or plays for our leader. Some examples we have here is the new reboot Matt Cyan. So what he does, and he does it very well, is crit God. So what can we do? What cards can we use to maximize our leader? What's going to best be the best way to go about this? Here we have a couple of examples with some new cards. Why I chose these cards is because these cards, you need Spirit Boost to untap your leader on the Awakened side. Champa, it's a great way to sneak in a 25 on the Awakened side, crit without spending a lot of energy. On the contrary, um, Vegex is a deck that plays more for the deck instead of for the leader. We have a bunch of cards that get played out of the effect of milling. And the way the deck synergizes is the deck is not complementing the leader, it's the other way around. Now that we know what leader we want to play, what play style we're going to go on, it's time to understand your deck space, right? Deck space is very crucial. Some people are hard on 50 cards and that's it. Some people are a little bit more flexible. Some leaders have a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to deck space, but this is all personal preference. So when we're talking about deck space, we need to understand, does our leader uses an engine, right? Or core cards. A great example of a deck that is heavy on an engine is the new Jiren. Jiren plays a bunch of things from the new set that are core for the strategy of this deck. So understanding how much deck space you're gonna have after you have set up all your core main engines, it's what's gonna dictate the cards that you're gonna add as we go. So we have a solid game plan, we know what our deck wants to do. Now it's time to go back, see how much space we have left in our deck, and start considering bad matchups. Things to consider when thinking about bad matchups is how many of X or Y deck am I going to be seeing in this tournament, right? If my deck is bad against blue, is blue gonna have a lot of showing in this tournament? Can I play around it, or do I actually need physical answers to this threat? And are we playing on a best of one or best of three scenario? In the best of three scenario, it's a little bit easier because we can side deck answers to certain cards in certain decks. But when we're talking about best of ones, which a lot of the web tournaments are, we're gonna have to go into adding silver bullets or counters to some of this problem. What are silver bullets? Silver bullets are cards that are specifically meant to negate or counter certain interactions or cards in specific scenarios, right? One of the first ever printed silver bullets, Time Control Chronoa, was a card that was printed, if I'm not mistaken, set 3 to counter Shugesh. Shugesh was all over the meta, and after this, Bandai has been on a roll printing a bunch of silver bullets. When we consider silver bullets, we go back to our deck space. Can we afford to play without the silver bullets and try to flip the coin on, am I gonna face this deck or no? Or do I really need this card in my deck? Because one, it will benefit my strategy, and two, it will actually prevent my strategy from being stopped. Um, Now that we have considered all these things, we're gonna go in one of my favorite parts after deck building, which is consistency test. Consistency testing is where we grab our physical deck and we play a couple of hands. I'm gonna roll some footage of how I like to do my consistency tests, and it works really well. So for consistency, we want to play a couple of hands, turn one, turn two. That way, we make sure that we're seeing the cards that we need every single time, and based on the test of consistency, then we can go back to our deck and check for cards that we can add. We can change some ratios. So we'll do a quick shuffle. We'll do a mock game just like if we were gonna play on a tournament or with a friend. I'm gonna go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna go through the whole process of mulligan. For this hand specifically, I want to keep this unison because it gives us a lot of pressure early. Same as this. and then we're gonna keep a kite also. I'm gonna go here. So now we're looking for at least one or two overwhelms with this deck specifically. If I see some overwhelms on my opening hand, uh, and you can do this test as many times as you want, you're gonna see if your deck is consistent enough. Sadly, we did not hit uh, Overrealm, but with this leader, you'll draw a nice amount of cards early, and you'll see a lot of your cards also. So we're gonna go through the process of playing 1 or 2 turns. Gonna go ahead and charge to the Migra. We'll do our leader effect, taking a life, bursting 3. And we can actually go ahead and pass turn. We know that the meta is pretty aggro, so we're probably going to get a couple of hits. Just do a mock game, take a hit, and then let's say they pass. So we draw another card. Go ahead and charge here. We'll go ahead and do our leader effect again, taking a life. We'll burst 3. Here we see one of our Vegex back. And as of right now, we're in a pretty good spot because we can awaken. We'll go here, then we'll do the effect, we'll swing, take a life, seeing another card in your hand. At this point, we could awaken. That'll give us another card to see. We'll burst again, just for the consistency of it. And then we'll go ahead and call it, see what happens, right? Just want to see a couple of hands and see what consistency you have on your deck. We'll go ahead and do another one. And again, you can do this as many times as you want, just to verify if you're seeing the cards that you need. If you're not seeing the cards that you need, you may want to fix some ratios, right? If your deck wants to go aggro, you want to see the pieces that you need. If you want to defend, you want to see the pieces that you need. So just have to make sure that we see those cards early. And this is what I call the consistency check of the deck, right? We don't want this. This is nice to keep. This is a great opener. And we'll go ahead and send those 2. Here. Draw. This is a beautiful starting hand. And this is what you want to do. This is exactly what you want to see. Make sure that your deck functions like you want it to function. And go ahead and let's pretend that the opponent went first. That'll give us a draw on our turn. This is a great card to see. We'll go ahead and charge. We'll charge here. We'll do a leader effect. Card, burst 3. I promise I did not stack the cards. Go ahead. Let's say we'll swing with our leader. Just because of the way the cards are, he has crit and +5. So we'll go ahead and play a little bit aggressive. We'll go here, do a Champa. We can combo out some of the stuff in our hands to fill that drop. Right? And then because we have this many cards in hand, this gets +1. That's 2 lives that he's taking with crit. And now we have 6 to Overrealm. Again, double strike crit. It's really strong early, and this is what you want to see. The best I could have done is see my Demikra Unison. I would have been able to play more than one Overrealm on that turn. So this is a basic consistency check of the deck. We went through all the process of making our deck, make sure it was consistent, and we're happy with the ratios. Now the next step is testing. Testing. I cannot stress this enough. Get a couple of friends together, go on Untap, get your deck ready, and just play as much as you can with the deck and go tweaking as you go along, because as you play a couple of games, you're gonna see that you might have a couple of ratios to fix, or there's something that you didn't think about while building the deck. And it's very crucial that we test as much as possible. We can only get better with practice. And that brings us to the end of the video. I just want to say thank you again to everyone that has shown some love on the DBS pages on Facebook. We'll be uploading content, at least one video a week to get started. We're getting some new equipment, new microphone, and soon we're going to be doing some testing. Before we go, we want to say thank you to our sponsor of the day, Bloom. BloomPR.com. It's an online clothing store with amazing quality and beautiful hand-drawn art by the owner of Bloom, Kevin. Let's go show him some love and use discount code MS Element for a 10% discount on checkout.